Today on the DML News Podcast, Donald J. Trump enters day 99. We're going to see what it is that you have to say about those first 100 days, plus a couple little tidbits of what's happened over the weekend. It's going to be very interesting. It's a Monday, and it's all unfiltered.
Dennis Michael Lynch gives you his word, and he will never let you down. He will always fight for America.
The only one who really puts his money where his mouth is Dennis Michael Lynch.
Hello, I'm Dennis Michael Lynch. I thank you for joining me today. My son Ryan is across from me on the controls. Denny, once again, is busy getting out all of our DML CBD BOGO orders. So I'm going to start off with you right now and telling you that because I am the nicest guy in the world, I have given so many opportunities for people to buy one and get one free at dmlcbd.com. And I am telling you now that come April 30th, that stops, and we will not have another BOGO until at least the end of July, if not into August. So if you're an existing customer, you've heard me say this now for the entire month, go to dmlcbd.com and get whatever you want, buy one, get one free. My advice to you is that you build the bridge to July and August. Remember, that's when we have the sales, and it usually takes us a couple of weeks to ship out. You would be silly if you did not take advantage. Now, if you're somebody who has not, and I mean has not started with a DML CBD routine, or you started and you stopped because, I don't know, you let whatever else can get in the way, I am telling you right now, we have changed tens of thousands of lives for the better. Whether it's that you have something on your skin or your face, or like my wife, she had the eczema on her elbows. You want to get rid of that? Well, we've got something there for you. I got a nice topical for you. You got aches and pains. You said you can't walk. I can't do this. I can't do that. We've got something for you, and I've got the testimonials that go. I don't care if you're in your 20s or if you're in your 90s. Everybody swears by the DML CBD products. You can't sleep. My goodness gracious, do we specialize in that? And then, of course, anxiety, say goodbye, and boosting the immune system. So many different people tell me all the time, DML, I haven't had as much as a head cold since I started using DML CBD. I have been talking about this now for years, and it has been consistently consistent. If you are not living your healthiest you, and you don't give yourself the chance of DML CBD, I don't know I don't know why you're even listening to me, because the rest of the stuff that we talk about today doesn't matter. What good is it if you feel like crap and you're listening to more stuff that's just miserable, right? Trump this, Biden that, Obama this, Clinton that. I mean, it's just, get yourself some sleep. Get yourself feeling great again. And that is what has been the best part of my past 5 years, is just changing so many different lives. And I really encourage you, go to dmlcbd.com, take a look at what you want, knowing that you're going to the Ferrari of CBD stores, and you're only going to have to pay Kia prices. That said, Denny is there filling all those orders. Ryan is across from me. Ryan, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to show the boat. This has nothing to do with politics, but I want to start off the show on this Monday showing this video. Now, it's only what we call B-roll, means there's no sound. Ryan is going to play this as I'm talking, but I'm pretty certain this took place somewhere in Arizona. Look at this boat. It is a high-speed boat. It was trying to break the record of getting the boat up to 206 miles per hour. And so they're there on this lake trying to get this thing going up there. And what winds up happening is it winds up forgetting that it is a boat, and it turns out to be an airplane. I mean, this thing goes flying. You could see here in the visual. I mean, it's a huge boat. It's one of those friggin' race boats. And it just, because of the amount of speed, the wind gets underneath it and lifts the boat, and this thing goes flying through the air. Now, the great news is, as you're watching this, the great news is that the two people that were inside that boat did not get hurt. But that is a miracle when you see that video about how I'm showing it to you right now from all different angles. It is a miracle that these two men that were in there are still alive. But I thought we'd just show it to you because as a boat enthusiast, I saw that video and I said, I don't care about politics. I need to show this. So my advice to you is if you have a boat, don't try to get it to go to 200 miles per hour. That could be that could be you winding up, flipping upside down and crashing into the water. But thank goodness that those two men who were driving that boat are okay today. Today's going to be one of those interesting shows. We're going to bump around a little bit. Ryan, do you have your microphone or no? Yeah, Ryan will set up his microphone. I'll pull him in once or twice here. But Trump is about to enter his 100th day. Now, there's a couple of things I just want to talk about personally about the 100th day. There are a few things that we told you at the beginning, and I want to reiterate those, and I also want to give you a couple of notices here. First and foremost, we told you that we would go for the first 100 days live on Facebook, live on Rumble, and we'd be putting our show all over the place. As many of you may know, we are a podcast that is really designed for my team members, Team DML. But we said we will do what we have to do to try to help the Trump campaign for the first 100 days. So we're going to start to wean off that, and our podcast will go back to simply being for Team DML members only, and that's at teamdml.com. And I will start to announce in 2 days from now, as we start to wean off, how it is that you can become a member, and actually ties in DML CBD. You get some free DML CBD products. It's a no-brainer. So that is coming. But when I look at the first 100 days, and I think about the coverage that we've given it here from the podcast and also from our newsletter, 47report.com, the greatest newsletter you could possibly get. All things Trump, all things MAGA. We cover everything that this administration is doing on a good level. Nobody ever wants to do that. You go to the New York Times, I defy you to find one good thing that they write about Trump. Go to Fox News, and between the stories about Britney Spears and things that don't matter, once in a while you'll get something about Trump that's good. But we specialize in giving you everything that this administration is trying to accomplish. The problem is, also included in the 47 report, is what we call the resistance. And so when I think of Trump's first 100 days, I hate to say it because I hate to be negative Nelly, but the one thing that continues to jump out at me is that resistance. The amount of resistance that has been given to this president in the first 100 days, which will be marked tomorrow, today's day 99, I am blown away. And, you know, Trump made a lot of promises on the campaign trail. Lots of promises. I mean, he said things like the Russia-Ukraine war would be done on the first day. Well, obviously, that was just political talk. I mean, how when you're Donald J. Trump, are you supposed to stop a war when you're dealing with two thick-headed, egotistical, corrupt human beings in Vladimir Putin and Mr. Zelensky? How are you supposed to do that? And we have B-roll here. Ryan, we'll show it to you in a second. Trump, over the weekend, was at the Vatican, and he was, with everybody else leadership, laying to rest the Pope. And he was to meet with Zelensky, but Zelensky wanted the French President Macron to be with him, and Ryan's showing it to you now. And so here they are. You got Macron, you got Zelensky, you got Trump, and they had designed it so this way the three of them were going to talk. Trump didn't know this. Apparently, from what I've read, Zelensky asked that Macron be part of the negotiations, the part of the conversation. And Trump basically, with cameras rolling, you can't hear anything. They turned off the sound. But with cameras rolling, Trump basically tells Macron, hey, I don't need you in this conversation, right? I'm going to speak to Zelensky one-on-one. I'm the leader of the free world. Zelensky and the Ukrainians are not looking to the French for assistance. They keep on pounding on my door. They keep on pounding on my door each and every day. They want my protection. They want my money. They want my support. Zelensky's going out there making stupid remarks left and right. Macron, I don't need you here. I don't need a third party here. With all due respect, please go off and do something else. Try to figure out whether or not you're married to a man or a woman. And I'm going to sit here and I'm going to talk to Zelensky. Now, Trump has said that his conversation with Zelensky was productive, but let's be honest. We are not far from World War III. I mean, the world right now is under so much strain, under so much pressure, under so much uh, disruption and chaos. That is the run over. It is the run over of 4 years of incompetence and basically inept people. That is what the Biden administration was. It was a bogus presidential win. I never, ever, ever, to the day I die, I don't know how long God's going to keep me on this planet. I hope I go well into my 90s. And I want my wife to be next to me. I want my kids to be around me, my grandkids one day. I hope I get to live to 99 years old. But if I do live to 99 years old and I'm 56, that means I got another 33 years, right? Is that how the math works, Ryan? No, it's 40. I'd have another 40-something years. There is no chance whatsoever that you are ever going to hear me say that the election between Joe Biden and Donald J. Trump was a fair election. So we had this bogus, inept, cheating dude in there who could not find his ass with both hands. And this is why the world is totally upended. So Trump's coming into this sort of mess. And in 99 days, he's trying to get these two men to stop the bickering. Because if it continues to continue, at some point, Vladimir Putin, who I believe is completely unhinged, I think he's one of those guys that says, if I'm going down, the world is going down with me. I don't think he thinks much about humanity. I think he only thinks about himself. So if we can't figure out how to stop this war, what happens? China is going to back Russia. Europe is going to back Zelensky in Ukraine. Then you're going to have people around the world trying to figure out where they're going to stand. You got the United States of America saying, where the hell are we going to be at it? I talked about this last week. I think at this point, the best negotiational skill that Trump would have is that of ignoring these two and saying, you figure it out on your own because I'm not dealing with you. Both of you are childish. Zelensky, you don't realize what you don't have and you have no strength. You know, you spent your time in your country. You didn't build up your resources. No, you didn't. All right. So now you're paying the price. Vladimir Putin, at the end of the day, you're a vicious human being. You're not doing the smart things. You keep on blowing up cities and taking more lives, and you're not showing any regard for any of the peace efforts that we're making. And you know what? I've only got a certain amount of time to deal with you two. I got problems in my own backyard that I got to deal with. Europe, you take care of Ukraine. China, you take care of Russia. And as I said last week, you tell both of them, if at any point your shenanigans and your BS spills over into the United States interests, I'm going to come and I'm going to wipe out your asses. That's the way that I would deal with it. That's the way I would deal with it. And I know the people on Facebook and the Team DML members and Rumble, everybody who left comments agreed with me 100%. There was nobody that said I wasn't right in my assessment. And that's the way it's got to be. But to go back to Trump, here he is. He's saying, Macron, get the hell out of here, man. The people of France don't even want Macron, all right? Because the France political system is so screwed up, he was able to cut himself a deal to get himself back in there, even though the French people don't want him. So what's Trump to do? Well, he's been trying to focus for the last 99 days on things domestically. But what's happened? Every single time this man tries to make a move, every single time, he faces resistance. And I asked a question on Facebook, knowing that we would go here into the program, talking about this sort of thing. Let me see if I can even get it up here. I asked people, what was the greatest accomplished so far? I wrote this. Tomorrow marks 100 days. What's Trump's biggest accomplishment to date? What has he missed on? And what do you want him to focus on next? 176 people liked, and I only posted this a little while ago, liked this comment. This was the number one liked comment. Kind of hard to be successful when he has to fight for everything he promised to do. I have patience, and I believe that everything will fall into place. Now, I have to say, that's what I think of for the first 99 days. I don't think of the accomplishments that Trump made because they're not all that many, and the ones that are accomplished are pretty damn good. We'll get to that in a moment. But to think about how many accomplishments there would be if the resistance of the courts, if the resistance of the left, And if the resistance of some of his own party wasn't there, my God, we would have already made America great again. And then Trump could be sitting there saying, hey, I can focus in on this Zelensky thing. I could focus in on this Putin thing and nothing else for a little while because I got my machine back at home humming. But he can't say that. What he can say is, I've tried to make this country hum, and the resistance is so big that we have to wonder where that resistance is coming from because it doesn't make any sense on the surface. Think about what has taken place over the last couple of days alone. You know, if you say what Trump's biggest accomplishment is, I think all people at this point would say the border. We had the lowest crossings last month than we've had in, I don't even know what the number is. I mean, we continue to make records each and every month. The numbers go down more. I told you this was going to happen because people just aren't coming anymore. So the accomplishment at the border is significant. Right now, if you went to the White House, you would see that there's 100 faces. They've got 100 faces of illegal aliens, some of them being murderers, other of them being human traffickers. All these illegal aliens, 100 of them, one face for each day, on the lawn of the White House, President showcasing the illegal aliens that he's gotten rid of in this country. The border has never been more secure. This is what he's been able to do without the courts and the Democrats and the rhinos getting in his way. But everything else, my goodness gracious, over the weekend, one of the things I did on the 47 report was there was a judge in Wisconsin. She is a judge that is Native Indian. She comes off a reservation. As far as I'm concerned, it's DEI in capital letters. She writes a letter to Wisconsinites telling them, I am not going to hold court. There are going to be no court sessions. I'm not holding court. Why? Because the Trump administration just arrested another judge, a leftist activist, as far as I'm concerned, arrested him because the woman, the judge, the female judge, this is the allegement, let an illegal alien with a criminal record slide out the side door, no kidding, of a courtroom when ICE was there to detain that person when the court session was over. That is interfering with federal government operations. If you or I were to do something like that, if you or I were to go in and interrupt the IRS on tax day, we would be in jail. If you were to try to interrupt the TSA checking bags at the airport, you would be arrested. If you were to go right now and kidnapped a federal post office worker, you would be interrupting the flow of mail, you would be arrested. So then why does a court judge get to interrupt the process of ICE agents who are trying to detain and deport a criminal? So what did they do? Trump said, the hell with this. The DOJ went in, the FBI went in and arrested this person. So now we've got this new radical judge saying, well, that's what you did, and that's not good, and therefore I am not holding court. And if I get fired from my job, so be it. Well, let me tell you something. She should be fired. She has no right being on the bench. Neither does the freaking Dugan, that's the woman's name who let this criminal out the side door. She has no right being on the bench. How can you expect any judge to give a fair ruling if what they're doing is siding with criminality? It's impossible. This is what I'm talking about when we say about Trump's being pinned against the wall, so this way his progress is going nowhere. I mean, think about what we did with Elon Musk. Again, I'm going over the memories here of the 99 days. Elon Musk comes in. This is a man who has created some of the greatest companies the world has ever seen. Not one, not two. He's got multiple. I mean, this guy is landing rockets on its side with no problem, almost like he's using an old Atari remote control. Remember Atari Space Invaders and Asteroids? You know, it's like he's got the little joystick and he's putting it in. I mean, my goodness gracious, SpaceX, Tesla, X, Neuralinks. He's got all these companies that are just changing the world. What does he do? He puts all of that, so to say, on personal hold. He could be doubling and tripling his already greatest fortune of the world, but instead, he's going in to do the mundane work for the federal government to figure out all of the garbage that has been done by the federal government. Giving away money to foreign nations for stupidity, giving money away to gangsters and to terrorists, squandering taxpayer money on DEI and all these drag queen stuffs. I mean, the amount of fraud, giving Social Security checks to people who are 150 years old, giving tax credits to people who aren't who aren't American citizens. I mean, the things that Doge figured out in less than 99 days has been destroying this country for decades. For decades. He goes in there with a crew, and what happens? Everything that Trump says, hey, we're going to stop doing this, we're going to stop doing that, we're going to stop doing this, and we're going to stop doing that because it's either fraudulent, it's wasteful spending, it's corrupt. What happens? Judges come back and say, you can't fire that person, you can't shutter those doors, you can't stop making those payments. Who the hell are these judges? That's what the first 99 days has been. Trump trying to take 1 foot forward and then the resistance pushing him 2 steps backward. Now, thank God we've got a guy who says, I'm never going to quit, because quitters never win and winners never quit. So Trump's going to keep on pedaling forward, pedaling forward. Tomorrow, my conversation with you is going to be what to expect for the next 100 days. But right now, we're focusing in on, can you imagine what this country would be like if he did not have the resistance of these radical courts? Just think about all the great things that would be taking place. You know, one of the things that was discussed halfway through this 100 days was that Elon Musk was talking about, hey, there may be money available here to where every American get a $5,000 check. Everybody may be a $10,000 check, a $2,000 check. Who knows what it is? But we're going to be able to take the money that we've been saving and give it to the American people. And what I said, if you remember, probably around day 25, day 35, and 40, when we started to find out about all this fraud and corruption, I said, hey, as a person who's paid an exorbitant amount of money to taxes, I want a refund. I want a refund. Who are you, a federal government, to take my tax money and then go throw it away in another foreign nation? Who do you think you are? That's my money. That's not your money. I want a refund. If you went into a restaurant and they said, what's your order? And you gave the whole order. I mean, think about going into something like McDonald's. It's as simple as McDonald's. You go into McDonald's, you go up to the order, you say, yeah, I'll have a Big Mac, I'll have a fry, I'll have a large Coke. Okay, that's going to be $10, all right? And you turn around, you give them your credit card, and they do $10. You have now given $10, even though you don't have the food. If you were to give that $10 and all you get back was a little thing of French fries, you would demand that you get what you want, that what you paid for. And if they don't have it because they ran out of Big Macs and they ran out of Cokes, you would expect to either get a full refund or at least only be charged for the fries. It's not unreasonable. And if they didn't give that to you, you would be able to go home and cancel your credit card and explain to them why that is. But in the United States of America, you and I pay taxes. You and I give over our hard-earned money. We go to work and work ourselves to the bone. We take a look at our check and we say, where the hell's all this money going? It's going to the federal government. All right, well, at least I'm getting roads and bridges. All right, well, at least I've got my military. Okay, well, at least, I've got the CDC trying to keep me healthy. No, your money's going over to some freaking Bangladesh, Indonesia, wherever, by God, and who knows where it's going to fund all this ridiculous crap. That's what we've been finding out. Trump wants to stop that, and the radical judges are saying, no, you're not going to stop it. That's what the first 99 days have been. Imagine, and I'm repeating what I said on Friday, but I think it's worth hearing again. Imagine what happens if it turns out to be that these radical courts didn't get in his way, the amount of progress we would have made in 99 days. I would be sitting here telling you that in my lifetime, I had never seen anything remotely close to this success. And I can say that in one area, and I think there's nobody in the United States who can say it with as much credibility as I can because I've dedicated so much time to this. It is now coming in on 20 years since I started picking up a camera. It is 20 years almost since I started looking at the border for the first time. 2007 is when the first time I started taking a look at the borders. I lived 9/11. So when you look at that, I've made 4 movies. I've done countless interviews. I mean, I can't even mention to you. If I had to write a book about all I've done with immigration, seen in immigration, I wouldn't be able to write a book. It would be a series of books. And I am telling you, never in my time have I seen that border as secure and quiet as it is today. Anybody and everybody who I talk to, who I've met over that course of time, has told me time and time again, the border, DML, don't even come down here to check it out. You'll be bored. It's boring at the border. 99 days that took. 99 days. Imagine how far we would be on other things if we would have the sort of American pride, American mojo, and American desire to clean up our country in the same way that Trump and his administration holds it. Imagine if we had more people thinking like you and thinking like me, who want America to be free, who want our taxes to be lowered, who want our trade deals to be more favorable for American workers, our borders secure, illegal aliens deported, our costs to go down, our level of security at the border, interior, around the world to be more solid, that we could sleep at night. We all voted for it. We had a guy who could get it done. He surrounded himself with some pretty good people this time. And we have 1, 2, 3, 10 radical judges who probably have nothing to show for themselves in terms of any level of success throughout their life, wind up getting an appointment because either they slept with somebody, or because they know somebody, or because they made a donation somewhere along the line, or because they had something over somebody's head, or because they were next up. We've got these people who couldn't probably find themselves out of a paper bag dictating what this country can and cannot do. And if you don't see a problem with that, then obviously you are a far leftist who has no idea about how it is that a country needs to operate in order for it to have in order for it to have success, both short-term and long-term. Now, one more video here we're going to show before I bring in Ryan, and we'll have a little conversation here about the first 99 days. One of the things that I have called for time and time again are raids. I think raids are some of the most powerful visuals that you can show if you want to tell people, A, do not try to enter my country illegally. B, do not try to stay in my country illegally. C, do not try to hire people illegally. D, do not try to harbor, abet, and stay safe with illegal aliens. A raid. There is nothing like a raid because it shows what it is that you are doing. We're going to bring you right now to Colorado. A raid took place over the weekend. And this place that they raided is sort of an underground club, if you will. Illegal aliens filled with MS-13, TDA. These people are terrorists. And they have everything going from drugs to human trafficking to prostitution, you name it. And what did we do? We raided, and we round up about 100 people. And this is what needs to be seen. This visual needs to be seen every single day. We need raids like this every single day. We need it at places of employment. In the state of Florida, over the last couple of days, 700 illegal aliens, some of them terrorists, some of them gangsters, all of them round up because the state of Florida is working with ICE and the federal administration, the federal government, the Trump administration, to secure our safety. This is the sort of thing. You spread this out far and wide. There's only one more powerful image than what Ryan just showed you. Illegal aliens being arrested and gathered up and gathered. There'd be one more powerful visual. And that is, just like we had the judge being arrested, we need people who hire illegal aliens to be part of those raids. We need to see handcuffs on them and them being pulled away and losing everything. If that happens, you will watch the scum who hire illegal aliens in this country stop hiring them, start hiring Americans, and these people will self-deport. There's no doubt in my mind. And it seems as if the Trump administration is at least taking this part of the playbook. Of course, they're going to get resistance. The Democrats are going to El Salvador to try to get out a terrorist gang member. It doesn't make any sense. But because we have a guy who is willing to fight against that resistance, and we've watched him do it. We watched him do it with all these bogus court cases that were against him. Because we have a man who's willing to do that, I still have a lot of faith that the United States under President Trump has only good things in front of it. Once we get past these radical judges, once we get past these crazy court cases, and Trump continues to continue with what it is his plan is, you'll start to see, just like the economy, just like the stock market. Look what happened with the stock market in the last 4 days last week. It was a ride going back up. A little bit down today. We're going to have a lot of technology companies reporting this week. If they say that they've got a promising look for the future, you're going to see the market go back up again. I've told you by the end of August, you're going to start to see this economy look far different than it has over the last 4 years. It's going to be one of the most robust economies we've ever seen in our lifetime, and it's going to come. So the first 100 days, problematic in the sense that we have the resistance. But keep in mind that we are learning as we go. We're like our own little AI system. We're learning as we go. Trump is learning as he goes, and they're making a plan. So this way they can fight not only the resistance, but they can fight and moving forward with Make America Great Again. Now, Ryan, if I ask you, and you may be reiterating what I say, but please, if you have any thoughts of yourself on your own, please do it. When you look at the first 99 days of President Trump, what do you see?
I mean, I will be sounding kind of like you. I think what he's doing is what we all voted for. But again, he's getting all this resistance from the judicial system, his own party, obviously the left. I'm happy with what has gotten done or what he's trying to have accomplished in these 99 days. And I think, like you said, he's going to keep learning and he's going to keep figuring out like what's the best way to approach these judges and how to beat them. Because, like you said, Trump, thank God we have a president that doesn't know how to quit. So from what he's dealing with, I think he's doing a good job. I mean, the border was unquestionable on how successful he's been with that, and I think he'll stay that way. But I'm happy with it. I mean, obviously anything could be better, but I mean, he's done more than a lot of presidents that haven't had such resistance to them. So, I mean, I kind of sound like a broken record and repeating what you said, but I mean, I think it's the best picture of what, encapsulates these 100 days.
When I look at some of the comments here that we've had from people on Facebook, I'm going to read a couple of them because I asked that same question. So a gentleman named Jason Oliver, he says, Trump's biggest accomplishment for the first 99 days is the border. I think everybody agrees on that. He says Trump missed the mark on deportation. And we'll get back to that in a moment. He says he needs to focus next on washing his hands of Ukraine and Russia and also jail these activist judges and governors, which I think is around the corner. I think Jason Oliver listens to this program because it's as if he just took the things out of my mouth and put them down. The one thing I want to go back on, though, where he says that he thinks Trump missed the mark on deportation. If anything, Trump was arguing that he wanted more deportations and that it wasn't happening from ICE and it wasn't happening fast enough. The part where I will push back, Jason, is that, Trump really doesn't hold the power to get these deportations through as quick as we want them to happen. But there's something that he could have done. And this is where I think his biggest mistake is. My feeling is his biggest accomplishment is the border. I think he needs to focus going forward, washing his hands of Ukraine and Russia. We both 100% agree on that. I think he also has to really narrow down on these tariffs. What is reasonable? What is unreasonable? And let's get the economy going back again. But the part that I think he's failed epically, is when you talk about deportation, Jason, I like to put a word in front of it. Self-deportation. Self-deportation doesn't require the courts. It doesn't require money. It doesn't require legislation. What it would require is that the illegal alien in this country no longer can get him or herself a job. And to go at that direction, and I'm a broken record when I say this, the best way to do it, other than the raids, like I said, and the raids are a big, huge part of it, because once you start taking things away from the American citizen who's hiring these people, they're going to stop. And when they stop hiring these people, they're going to go home. And the great thing is that there's nowhere for a court to get involved. What does a court come in and say? Hey, Dennis Michael Lynch, you can't hire your son Ryan to do the microphones. You've got to hire an illegal alien. It's never going to work. I'm not going to hire anybody I don't want to hire. It's that simple. So we're going after this the wrong way. We're going after the illegal alien and trying to force them to go home. The way to do it is to go after the employers, have them cut off the jobs, and when the illegal alien can't use us as an ATM machine, they're going to realize the fact that they need to go home, especially if Trump threatens that if you don't self-deport, we are going to take the money that you have here because you have it illegally. What you take?
First, I just want to say I've seen that some people on Facebook are saying that the connection is not great.
Yeah.
On Rumble, it's perfect. So
Okay.
I don't know if there's a coincidence to our Trump 99 Days title to the fact that Facebook somehow is not streaming so well.
Yeah.
But, if you want to if you have Rumble, you should go to Rumble and just type in DML and the account will come up. But what was the question again?
Well, no, what I was talking about was the fact that mandatory E-Verify right now is what I think Trump's biggest mistake is.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've been championing for mandatory E-Verify for the longest time. So it does make you think, why not? I mean, I think maybe if we do have 40 million working illegals, they could be afraid that it would maybe stall out the economy. I don't know if you would agree with that or not, in the sense that so many roles are filled by them because we've let it get to that point. I don't know if that could be an issue.
Roles are filled by who?
Illegal aliens. Like, we have so many that the economy could need them for kind of. I don't know if that's an argument or not.
Well,
we've
that's
never
Trump's argument.
Yeah, like if we have 40 million working illegal aliens and they all have roles here, like you could say a lot of businesses are propped up on that. And if those start going out, could have a free fall effect. So I think,
Let's have that conversation for a second. So I think what you're saying is the same thing that Trump is having conversations with people about. If you actually make mandatory E-Verify a required thing for all businesses, there are going to be lots of businesses that are going to crumble. You can start with the golf courses. You could start with the hospitality in terms of hotels, people making the beds, la-di-da-di-da-di. You could talk about the landscaping. You can talk even about home construction, because these are theoretically the jobs that are taken by the illegal alien. My argument back to you would be, there are a lot of Americans, especially young Americans, who would fill those jobs, especially if the employers were to give them a couple extra bucks. Secondly, we do have programs here in the country to where we can take in workers to fill those positions if they cannot be filled. I'm not saying you have to kill all legal immigration, especially work visa immigration things on areas where we are having a deficiency in finding people. But the biggest deficiencies today are because we're not paying the American citizen enough money to sustain a livable situation. They need a livable wage. And so the employers are hiring these illegal aliens, not because they're going to come to work when the American won't. I don't believe that. I don't believe Americans are by and large lazy. Sure, we have a bunch of lazy ones, but we have Americans who want to go out there and work, but they want to and they need to work for a wage that is going to allow them to live at least reasonably. What has to happen is that there has to be a belief with the president and the people he has circled around him that we will be able to survive without this illegal labor. Nobody has convinced Trump of that yet. I always like to go back to this one story that happened in Arizona going many, many years ago. There were these car washes in Arizona, and they hired all illegal aliens. And there was a raid done. And that raid resulted in all these illegal aliens being pulled out, and there was no workers. Well, what wound up happening was that the car washes wound up putting in ads for American citizens to take the jobs. I mean, a car wash is not exactly, nobody dreams of working at a car wash. But the line for applicants was around the building, American citizens applying for those jobs. I have a buddy, Tom. He used to have a computer business, a warehouse business where they did a lot of shipping of computer and computer parts, and he had it in Illinois. He would not hire illegal aliens. He wouldn't. Instead, what he did was he gave a couple extra bucks per hour. Whenever he put an advertisement in for a warehouse worker or somebody who was doing some of these remedial jobs, he said he was filled each and every time with applicants. Why? Because instead of paying, let's say, for instance, $15 an hour, he paid $17 an hour. He paid a little extra money for the American citizen to say, yeah, I'll do that job for $17 an hour. I could wind up getting through the week with that kind of money in my pocket. And Tom wound up, Tom's a very rich man. He's a rich man. He's got multiple homes. Now he's retired. He just sold the business for millions of dollars on American labor, not on illegal labor. So the economy may have a little bit of a dip because you would have some labor shortages, but America will find its way. I come back to you, Ryan, and say, we're in the CBD business. Our CBD business, we follow all the rules, we follow all the regulations, we don't cut any corners, and that costs me more money. And it also limits what it is that I can sell. What about all of a sudden if I said, well, look, you know what? If this company down the block is going to use illegal labor and get away with it, landscaping, building homes, whatever, why can't I just start selling illegal drugs? If I could start selling illegal drugs, my goodness, my profits would go through the roof. If people could go online and start buying drugs from me and I didn't have to worry about breaking the law, my goodness, why not? So you can't say that the economy and that businesses are reliant on illegality in order to survive, in order to thrive, and think that that is a good argument. So the answer here is, even if the economy was to take a little bit of a hit because of a labor shortage, we have to take that hit. We have to have it go down in order for it to go up. We cannot sustain our country on illegal behavior.
I agree that America would find its way. It already happened in Florida. So I remember I was talking to someone who had a daughter who's going to, a university down here.
Mm-hmm.
So they were building dorms for the next semester. So her daughter was going to go live in the dorm. But then DeSantis passed the E-Verify, and then the entire job site emptied out because it was all illegals building the dorm.
Mm-hmm.
So her daughter had to wait till the next semester, a couple of months, because they had to go out and find legal workers. So I agree that they'll find a way to fill those roles, but you do get a job shortage for a little bit to where, this job site is done constructing, things get pushed back. But like you said, that's what it's kind of like ripping a Band-Aid off. But you can already look at it. DeSantis did it here in Florida, and you had those instances like that, but it all ended up going back to normal. But or you could say that he didn't go far enough with, I think, it's companies with 25 more employees. And then what do you do if you're the person building the dorm? You just say, all right, we're not going to hire any workers, and we're just going to outsource it to smaller companies that, you come do the drywall, you do that instead of us having to manage it all. So then there's loopholes. So it has to be all full, no minimums or et cetera.
I agree with you. I think that Ron DeSantis, and look, I'm a huge fan of DeSantis, and this is probably the one area where if I was in front of him, I'd say, come on, man, you shortchanged what it was. The majority of businesses in Florida, the majority of businesses in the United States of America have 25 or less employees. So when you say that it's got to be 20, that's the rule in Florida. If you are an employer of 25 or more, or maybe it's 26 or more employees, you have to use mandatory E-Verify. But if you have 25 or less, you don't have to do it. Well, that's a cheap law.
But can't you just break it up? If you're a company that builds homes and has 100 people, you can just say, I'm going to make 4 companies, and this company specializes in drywall, and this one specializes in irrigation.
Absolutely.
So it's like, how well does it work?
Absolutely. There's a lot of ways to cut the line on that. But if you go back to what you were just saying, I mean, you talked about with the dorms in Jacksonville, what wound up, and the New York Times ran this story in Jacksonville. What wound up happening was that a lot of the construction that was going on shut down because of all the illegal labor that was being used, only to a couple weeks later coming back with American workers who were getting paid more money. So it would work. It definitely would work. It's the one area where I think Trump has done a really, really poor job, and he's got to turn that around in a very, very big way. I don't know if he will, because I think he's just too afraid that the jobs won't be filled. And I think somebody has said that to him. I think they've said that into his ear. If I had to imagine who it was, it's probably the small business administrations. It's probably all these lobbyists that are in there constantly fighting for cheap labor. And so they've probably scared him to a point where he says, all right, look, I'm the president. I don't want to see my economy go down. There's no way I'll ever win a midterm. It will destroy everything for us. This is one of those things where you've got to rip the Band-Aid off. You either believe all in or you don't believe. It's one or the other. Now, changing gears here for a second for the last couple minutes of the program that I want to talk about. There was a thing on Fox News which I found really, really interesting. And they called it the rise of the machines. And there is a big, huge, and this kind of goes into labor. There is a big, huge push right now for AI to be more open source, in the sense that we know who's creating the AI programs and what it is that they're programming in. And the concern is that the AI machinery, robots, and all the other different things is going to wind up taking over humanity. And the larger part of that is that China would wind up creating AI systems that would destroy the United States. This is something, I'm just dabbling with it today. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about what Trump should do for the next 100 days. We're going to ask people on Facebook and on Team DML to give us their opinions on what he should do in the next 100 days. He's going to have a rally, I believe, tomorrow in Michigan, so that should be pretty interesting. We'll talk a little bit about that. But going forward, one of the things now with the 100 days out that I really want to put a lot of emphasis into is what's going on with this AI. Anybody who reads the 47 report, go to 47report.com, sign up for the newsletter every single day. Anybody who, and by default, you get the DML report Monday to Friday at nighttime. You'll always see that I've got these little advertisements on there for these other newsletters that are AI specific. And when you look at newsletters and the growth in newsletters, one of the biggest areas of growth where they're getting people signing on all day long to say, yeah, send me the newsletter, is the AI newsletter, whatever newsletter that is. Because people don't understand what AI is, and they need to understand it, because it is going to take over and dominate almost every aspect of our life. Your lawyer is going to wind up using AI for everything. Your doctor is going to rely on AI for everything. Every single last thing is going to wind up being AI. In fact, I just read an article last week about how it is that one of the big shopping, I don't know if it was, it may have been Costco, where they're going to actually eliminate the checkout line. Because now they're going to have it AI to where as you take something off the shelf and put it in your basket, the AI system is going to be able to do everything where it's going to automatically debit from you. And there's no reason to have anybody at the checkout line. I mean, we are slowly but surely being taken over by robots here. And if we don't control how it is that those robots are created or those AI systems are created, we are going to lose our humanity. And it's amazing because if you go to some of these AI systems and you plug in, a question or you ask for information, you are often going to get back a liberal-driven answer. And so as these AI machines start to learn more, and they learn on their own based on how it is that they're set up, it's going to wind up being that anybody who's Trump, anybody who's conservative, anybody who's Republican is bad. And eventually these AI systems are going to start to say, listen, in order to have a very productive country, the first thing we have to do is eliminate the conservative. We have to eliminate the person that you would consider to be MAGA or pro-Trump or pro deportation, pro-closed borders, pro-tariff. And what will happen is the AI systems will start to design themselves in such a way to where they'll cut us off because they'll see that we are a detriment. They're going to see us as the same way they would a cancer. And this is where the danger really is long-term for AI. And I want to focus a lot of what it is I discuss about learning this and about understanding it. Because look, any Tom, Dick, or Harry could get up here and talk to you about Trump and radical judges and repeat the same thing that everybody else knows. I really want to get into a mode of where we could start talking about things that we're learning about as we go. In the same way that I showed people what the open borders really were like and what the problem was really like at the border in ways that you never heard of before at the news. Well, now everybody knows it. I've already did my job there. And when I look at the future and I say, what is the biggest thing we face? AI is the answer to that. So that's a big, huge thing that we're going to be putting forward as we continue to grow this show in the area that we will grow it. And that's going to be towards the AI and how AI is impacting our lives, especially those of us who are older, the people who are in their 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s, 80s, even 90s. You know, a lot of times we are slow in adapting to technology. I mean, I still don't know how to use the remote the right way on the television. And my kids get the remote, it's like chung, 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 chung. And I'm like, how did you do that? You know, like I'm a real smart guy, but I can't figure that out. Same thing with the cell phone. Like Mary and I still sitting here with the cell phone trying to figure out, you know, like, oh, wait, your settings, my camera's working on its own. And the kids are like, doot, 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 and they could turn things off. So we need to learn more about AI and how it's going to impact our lives and how maybe we could use it for the better. And that's going to be a big thing we're going to focus on. I can tell by the numbers that people on Facebook are having a very hard time with us today. We did have a little difficulty here before we started off in terms of the internet, so maybe that has something to do with it, but we apologize for that. Rumble's fine. Rumble's fine. I think Team DML is fine, so it's got to be a Facebook thing. Shocker there. All right, well, listen, until tomorrow, we will discuss on tomorrow's show what we think that Trump should focus in on. For the next 100 days, we're going to take a lot of the suggestions that you people have that listen to the show and watch the show as it's live. So, when you see me post up those questions, what should Trump do? Make sure you give us a nice, intelligent answer, and maybe we'll wind up reading and discussing what it is that you say should happen. So until the next time, do not drive your boat 200 miles an hour, as we showed you in the beginning of the show. Do not forget Team DML. You get me back exclusively as the month starts to go on. And of course, DML CBD. You got the buy one, get one free today, tomorrow, and the next day, 28th, 29th, and 30th. And then it ends for many, many, many months. So go to dmlcbd.com, get your buy one, get one free with, I think, pretty good odds we're going to have Denny back tomorrow. So until then, make sure you also go to 47 Report and sign up for the newsletter. May God bless you, our country, our president, our vice president, and of course your family. Until we talk to you, God willing, tomorrow. On behalf of Ryan, have yourself a great day.
Get the Dennis Michael Lynch podcast every day by subscribing on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and download the DML News app from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store for breaking news, merchandise, films, exclusive content, and Team DML.